This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome into another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow with your hosts. You can call me Truck, next to Shane O'Mac, next to Kulz. Find us all on Twitter at fantasy_trucker, at smccormick_ff, at Kulz_sports. Follow the show while you're at it, at Fantasy Roadshow. Tweet at us all your questions that you may have throughout the week. Also, check out the Substack, thefantasyroadshow.substack.com for all of our written articles throughout the week. And as always, this episode is brought to you by Rule 1 Proteins. Go to www.rule1proteins.com. Enter in Roadies40 at checkout to get 40% off. Go grab your protein and all your supplements, everything you need there. Boys, how you guys doing today?
Doing well. Yeah. Crazy waivers, but yeah, doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I am in Kalamazoo, Michigan still. Tomorrow I have to head to Milwaukee. I'm just kind of all over the place this week. Started in Ohio, and then Michigan, then Wisconsin. So I am everywhere. Shane, how you doing, buddy?
Man, doing good. Doing good. It was.
You had a good birthday yesterday?
Good finish last night. So despite the clock management woes of Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott.
What was that? I was texting Ryan, or was I texting you, Ryan? Where
I don't think so.
I was texting one of my buddies. I'm like, wait, did Dak? All right, so it was like 2 minutes and 30 something seconds, and they called. I forget why it wasn't someone was injured. Whatever happened there, and then they reset it. And he has a fresh 25-second shot clock and just snaps it right away. I was so confused.
Yeah,
why
he could have taken off 20, 25 more seconds.
And then they call a timeout, and then the next play you're at the 2-minute mark, and then you can probably get it down to a minute 20.
Yeah,
or at least
it was
30,
confusing. It was very confusing for me.
I was.
But I just loved how Troy Aikman said, Micah Parsons hasn't done anything tonight, hasn't gotten a second.
And then bam.
As he says it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, nonetheless, great game. Go Cowboys. I'm glad that they pulled out a win, even though I was rooting for them. So that's great to see.
That's your first win as a Cowboy fan, isn't
first
it, Ryan?
win as a Cowboys fan, right? Oh, yeah. While I'm rocking my
Congrats.
Bears hat.
Congrats.
I forgot to mention, we are live on YouTube at youtube.com/sportsethos. Feel free to comment any of your questions, but please be patient. We're going to answer them all at the end of the episode. Culls, do not have the comments on your screen.
I'm gonna go on our Twitter, though.
Yes, please do.
No one's asking on there because I never check.
Yes.
Boom.
All right. Well, we're in week 7, man.
I have one other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shane and Mac, I want to hear about this this quarterback that you fell in love with. I see your hat that you're currently wearing. Kansas State quarterback. Let's hear about it.
You mean the prince that was promised to us, Avery Johnson?
Yeah, I need to hear about him. What's good?
Oh man, he's got to start the rest of the year. Just dynamic, quick, fast.
True freshman,
okay, out of Wichita area high school. So, he's just amazing.
Oh, Wichita area?
Yeah.
What, 4-star, 5-star?
4-star.
4-star.
Yeah.
You've known about him, right?
Oh,
obviously.
Yeah. He and Dylan Edwards, the freshman running back at Colorado, were supposed to be coming to K-State together. Yeah. And then Edwards, once he got hooked in with Dion, backed out of that.
Well, yeah. Awesome. Well, that's exciting. Dual threat.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Fastest guy on the team.
Awesome. And then K-State's obviously staying in the Big 12, right?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
I can't keep track with everything that's moving in the conference.
It doesn't. You don't need to. Next year will be what's going on, and we'll go from
for
there.
a while.
Yeah, there's what is it, 8-team or 12-team playoff? 12-team.
12-team.
12-team playoff starts next year, which is much needed. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
All right, so I want to kick this off with this is week 7. It is a massive bye week. There are 6 teams on bye, and those 6 teams are the Cincinnati Bengals, the Dallas Cowboys, Tennessee Titans, the New York Jets, Carolina Panthers, and the Houston Texans. A lot of fantasy pieces are off this week. You're going to be having to make some tough choices and tough decisions on who you're dropping, who you're picking up. So we're here to address all those questions for you guys. This is Kulz. When we were prepping for this season, this is the one week that I was really worried about, because every time during our draft process, we're like, man, that's a week 7 bye. That's another week 7 bye. So this is going to be a tough week.
Yeah, I think it was like week 7 and week 10. I went through a couple teams and it was looking pretty grim. I know we have a team together that we share where there's like 5 guys on bye. But
that one's tough.
You get through it. I thought this was going to be a pretty crazy waiver week as well, but I don't think it is. Shane, do you have the same feeling? Last night when we talked, we're like, this could be a pretty wild waiver week, but now as we're hearing some of this injury news settle, I don't know that I think it's going to be as crazy. Do you have that same feeling?
Yeah, I think there's some teams that it's not going to be as much as we thought adding wise. And if you weren't paying attention to the news or you're not watching the show right now and you submit waivers based off of yesterday's news, you could be wasting money.
You definitely, we encourage everyone to go out there and do your own research and really dig into this week. There are so many injuries. So many people nicked up that your waiver pickups really hinder on who's going to be available and who's not. So I'm going to go through this list real quick of injuries and like their current status as to where they are right now. I'll start off. This is a pretty long list, so I'm just going to kind of run through it. You guys feel free to stop me whenever you want to talk about something. But Zay Jones is still questionable. Didn't practice on Tuesday. Trevor Lawrence is questionable. Limited practice on Tuesday. Chris Olave is questionable. Limited practice today. Juwan Johnson dealing with a calf injury. He participated in walkthroughs. Jamal Williams is supposed to be coming back. He's dealing with a hamstring. He had limited participant yesterday. Jimmy Garoppolo questionable. Roshan Johnson questionable.
Wait, so Jamal practiced last week?
Well, I corrected myself. It's he was a limited participant yesterday. Yes, limited participant yesterday. He's questionable to return this week still.
Okay, so is the in-season IR the same as the preseason IR? Like you know how you had to open up a 21 day window.
21-day window, yeah.
Yes.
So it's the same. He's now opened that window and he's practicing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Justin Fields is doubtful. I don't know if you guys just look into that. Right thumb. He's doubtful for week 7. He's probably going to be out for a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. Khalil Herbert was placed in the IR. Yeah. Khalil Herbert placed on the IR. Deshaun Watson still questionable. I don't know what's going on there, but
he's playing. They knocked PJ back down to practice squad.
Okay, so hopefully he's gearing up to play this week. Anthony Richardson looks like his season's probably over.
Drop him.
Damian Harris, we saw what happened there. Sprained neck. Still waiting on information for him. Dalton Kincaid questionable. Remains in concussion protocol on Monday as of yesterday. Josh Allen is considered day-to-day. He's questionable, probably going to play, I would imagine, right, guys? You would say so?
100%.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Daniel Jones, questionable. There's a chance.
I worry about him.
Yes. They say there's a chance he's going to be ready to play week 7, but it's a neck injury, and he says he feels a lot better, but you can't really take his word for it. So keep an eye on that. Baker Mayfield, questionable. What is that? His left hand, non-throwing hand contusion.
Not worried.
Okay. David Montgomery, questionable. He's probably not going to play, dealing with a rib injury. No. Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's talk there. So,
Okay.
Craig Reynolds, obviously the person that you're going to hear about the waiver wire.
Yes.
Because Gibbs is coming off injury, I don't think he gets a full workload. So, what do you think in terms of I think Craig Reynolds already sort of had a shot in this role and it wasn't too impressive. So I'm personally not going in and putting in any claims. Am I reading that wrong because Gibbs is coming off injury? What do you guys think?
I don't know, Shane, what do you got for that?
I think because it's a hamstring issue, I think Gibbs will be limited in the touches he will get. We don't have to go too far back, just a couple weeks ago to see what Aaron Jones' participation was in his very first game back from a hamstring issue, which was a similar time off as Gibbs. Yeah. So I think you're going to look at a little bit more touches for Reynolds than expected. But you are really right. I looked at that game. I think it was week 3 when Montgomery missed and Reynolds played, and he was pretty awful.
You're at Baltimore.
Yes. Yeah, that's going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Moving on, Pat Freiermuth, questionable. They expect him to practice on Wednesday, so he's progressing. Deontay Johnson, Monday, he said that his hamstring, he's able to return from IR, so we might see him on the field this week. Then Ronnie Rivers and Kyron Williams, both of them out, and they're both going to be out for Ronnie Rivers 4 to 5 weeks. Kyron Williams a couple weeks dealing with a sprained ankle. So we'll be talking about the Rams running backfield here pretty soon. A lot of pieces going around. I saw a couple of updates today that was
so let's talk about it then.
Okay.
Kyron, I think Kyron's out a week, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Ronnie, obviously IR, who really gives a fuck, to be honest. So Zach Evans currently in line to get starting, to get the starting role. Royce Freeman moves up from the practice squad, and then you have Myles Gaskin signed. Is there any?
Yes.
Am I missing anyone else?
When I was going through the list earlier, I feel like there's another name.
Darrell Henderson.
That's
Darrell Henderson.
That's the other one I saw today. So. Yes, thank you, Shane. That was awesome. Good pull.
And he is what practice squad? Is he in line?
Signed to the practice squad today, but they could choose to elevate him if they want.
Yeah. So for me, it's like Ronnie Rivers is going to get the first. Or not Ronnie Rivers. Zach Evans. I was just looking at his name. Zach Evans is going to get the first crack at this, and I think they're just going to go with the hot hand. They're going to give everybody touches and see who's playing the best. Zach Evans probably has the best chance at producing in this role, but I also think that there's going to be so many people. They're going to give the ball to so many different guys that I don't think anybody's going to be really valuable. You know what I mean? I don't know. How do you guys feel about it?
I think they're going to make a decision pretty quickly, like this week. And if it's only going to be 1 week, then there's probably not a ton of value unless you're getting like a rental from, you had Montgomery go down. So you're looking for a 1 week rental.
Yeah. They're playing Pittsburgh this week too.
But like Darrell Henderson worries me because he's had success there in the past. Royce Freeman, I believe he looked pretty decent in preseason. Was that with the Rams or was he with another team in preseason?
I think he was with another team. I don't think it was with the Rams, but I can't pinpoint it off the top of my head.
I'm going to look that up because that, to be honest, he looked decent. I remember. Royce Freeman. But yeah, I mean, Zach Evans will probably get the shot. I don't know. It's the fact that they're bringing in 3 different backs makes me think however he looked last week wasn't very good. And that's what I read, but I honestly didn't see it personally. So I can't really comment there, but
yeah, I just think it's going to be a committee. They're just going to go with that approach. And it's going to be hard for any one of them to really jump out. You might see a touchdown here and there, but
if it's 1 week, it's irrelevant in my mind. But what do you think, Shane?
Yeah, I had put in a decent little claim for Evans earlier this morning because I was kind of needing a guy 1 week starter. But once I saw those signs today, those free agent signings, I backed it off quite a bit to hardly nothing. I mean, you just look at last week, what happened in Arizona when everyone went crazy on DeMarcado, and then it was Damian Williams signed up from the practice squad, and just got a pretty good amount of carries.
Yeah, great point. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not burning a waiver claim on him, and I'm hardly putting any fab down. But once the waivers run tomorrow, and if he's sitting there, which I doubt he will be, some dummy's going to pick him up, and I'll let them do that in my league. But yeah, I just it's too murky right now, and Kyron should be back here shortly. So, James Conner was on IR. We know that already with his knee injury. Obviously, Keontae Ingram seems to be the guy, and we just talked about Damian Williams. Yeah, Damian. Sorry, Damian Williams. So I don't know. Keontae Ingram seems to be the guy. If he's still on the waiver wire, are you guys picking him up?
I did that last week.
Yeah.
I'm just still looking at Freeman. So, yeah, he had a decent preseason with the Rams. I bet you he has a sneaky good role this week.
Okay.
But anyways, Keontae Ingram, yeah, I mean, I have him, and I'm not, like, super excited about it by any means. No. There's one league where I lost Kyron, and I lost A-Chain in back-to-back weeks, so I have to start him in that league. But I mean, yeah, he doesn't look very impressive, but he's going to be the guy getting the workload. So,
yeah, start him if you need to.
Yeah, I think he got 7 points last week. That's pretty much what I'm expecting out of him.
Yeah. All right. So Aaron Jones is still questionable. I don't really have any information on it. I hope he comes back this week, but keep an eye on that. Jeff Wilson did not get activated off the IR last week.
Hold up. Aaron Jones. So he has to be healthy, right? Like,
I mean, you would think so.
However, they just signed James Robinson today.
Yeah, I saw that. That made
yes, great mention there. Yeah, I'm not too worried about James Robinson, but yeah, that's concerning. For
of course, you're not worried about James Robinson, but like you have to be worried about signing a running back. It doesn't matter what his name is. The fact that they went and signed a running back, what is that like? Is that pointing towards another week? Which would be infuriating. I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah. And I would imagine Jeff Wilson gets promoted off the IR this week. I mean, we thought he was that was last week. So expect that. Christian McCaffrey is the big one that I'm sure everyone's talking about, that oblique injury. He avoided the long-term injury and he's considered day-to-day. He legitimately has a chance of playing this Monday against the Vikings. I mean, what are the chances? What percentage would you put that he plays this week?
25.
25% chance?
Didn't we see Jalen Waddle miss a game with an oblique injury earlier? Didn't he have to be sidelined one game?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that he's not going to play, but Christian McCaffrey, dude. He's going to do anything he can to play this game.
I just think probably they were going to play it smart long term. Think they can go into Minnesota and beat that team even without him.
100%.
Yeah, they don't need him this week to win this game, and I hope he realizes that and they can get him to calm the nerves because Christian McCaffrey loves ball. That's what we know for sure.
Yeah, but like he also is always pretty hush about his injuries. So
yeah, he is.
I mean, you take this week off and get ready to play the Bengals at home and then at Jaguars. Those are two playoff teams. And then you have, the Bucks at home, who as of right now might be, but I don't think they actually are. Then you have to go to Seattle and to Philadelphia. So like, why would we play? Like, there's just no reason. Take time off, rehab, get ready for the Bengals. next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the
And
last
this very
one
well still could be a little bit more serious than the reporting, just because of how Christian McCaffrey likes to deal with injuries.
Yeah,
I just
Yeah,
think
that's
he's
true.
not. I just think there's a low chance of him playing this week.
yeah. And then the last one that is worth mentioning is Deebo Samuel with the shoulder injury, the AC joint. He is considered day to day. He might play, he might not. Just these are all these players that we just talked about that I just mentioned. You have to keep an eye on. You have to stay in tune with the news cycle and figure out if these guys affect your lineup at all. So
Yeah, Devo, like, you're not going to get anyone on the 49ers to step up and be fantasy relevant. Like, it would probably be Ronnie Bell, and you're not going to start Ronnie Bell,
Oh,
So-
no, of course. I just mean like if you have Deebo in your starting lineup or if he's on your roster and
Yeah,
you have to go elsewhere. Just thought I'd mention the injury bug that seems to be going around. But that about covers the injuries.
It was more, the injury bug was more about quarterbacks this week. I feel like there's quite a few. Like Jimmy G he'll be out.
Trevor
and-
Lawrence, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, Ryan Tannehill. Like,
Justin Fields.
Justin
Name
Fields.
him.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
forget
We get to see Mr. Ben.
yeah.
TB.
Oh, God.
TB.
Yep.
Wait.
Yep.
Teabag. That's his name.
That is awesome. That is great.
He's Teabag.
He's coined teabag now. Thank you, Kulz. That is awesome. I'm going to spread that out to all of my Chicago guys.
Yeah, like
Let's go teabag.
We got
Oh
Teabag
God, I
stepping up
love
for
the
Bears.
nicknames that come up on the pod. Those are gold. We have what was it? Puka. What'd you call him, Kulz?
Pooker Nup.
Pooker
Yeah,
Nup.
Pooker Nup. Yeah.
No, Teabag's way better than that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the official waiver segment. Everybody, buckle up. All right. So yeah, like Cole said earlier, initially when we were looking at everything, there's a lot of names on this list that people are going to be looking at based on the earlier information we got from waivers. For injuries. But now that we've got updates, things change. So I'm going to go off this list here. Talk about running backs first, and you guys let me know where your gauge is at on whether or not we should be targeting them, using our waiver claims and putting on fab for them. So Craig Reynolds first. Craig Reynolds is only rostered in 2% of leagues. He's basically available in every league. Do you guys like Craig Reynolds this week? Who's he have? The Lions are playing
Ravens.
Baltimore. Yes. Yeah, we talked about that. So what's your gauge on Craig Reynolds? You guys
We kind of already
targeting him?
talked about him. Let's do since we talked about Reynolds, let's skip and then we'll rank the people.
Okay.
Whoever we haven't talked about, we'll talk about them and then we'll rank them. So let's just include Reynolds in our rankings because we already.
Okay. All right. So Craig Reynolds, Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, those two right together.
Yeah.
We also have Roshan Johnson, rostered in only 60% of leagues. Jaleel McLaughlin. We have Kareem Hunt, Zach Evans, and Leonard Fournette.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the 49ers for a second. So, how many leagues? Eli Mitchell's got to be relatively owned.
He is rostered in only 34% of leagues on Sleeper, and it's going to be less on ESPN.
Okay, so you do have Mitchell and Mason are both available.
Yeah.
Correct. Mason is available in every single league. He's only rostered in 4%.
Okay.
So let's talk about Elijah versus Mason.
Yeah, so I talked about it a little bit last night on stream, and I feel the exact same way. I got to stop drinking Topo Chicos while we record because it makes me burp. And drink normal water. So I feel the exact same way. So Elijah Mitchell is the RB2. He is Shanahan's guy. He's been a starter for Shanahan and succeeded. So he is the guy. However, health is what is the concern. Health is the concern with Mitchell. So he did play hardly last week. He was like, limited or not practicing most of last week. Ended up playing, getting a couple snaps, but so that is the concern with him. It's like, is he going to be 100% this week? And the other concern is that Mason has looked really good with the opportunity he's gotten because of Mitchell's injury. So like, I still think Mitchell is ahead of Mason. However, health is going to determine that if that's how the week unfolds, if McCaffrey's gone. So basically what I want to say there is like Eli Mitchell will be the lead back, maybe a 60-40 split if healthy. 40% for Mason is still a pretty significant amount, I think. So it's going to be a tandem backfield. All injury, all health dependent for Mitchell. I don't know. That's how I feel about it, at least.
Yeah, I mean they're playing in Minnesota this week, so it's a good matchup for running backs. And I think you're right. This offense is good enough to where they both can be productive. But Elijah Mitchell is the guy that you want to pick up more so than Mason. And you're right. I think Mitchell does still hold value even when McCaffrey comes back. So it's I think I would take Mitchell over Mason.
Yeah. What do you think there, Shane? Because like Mitchell, like I do think Mason looks really good though. That's the thing that's like kind of scary, but it comes down to the injury. It comes down to how healthy Mitchell is for me.
Yeah. I mean, he's averaged over 5.5 yards a carry the last 2 weeks. Mason has, so he has looked good, but they have always leaned in on Mitchell in the past. I kind of look at it like, if you are for some reason limited on Fab, I would go after Mason because he's going to be the cheaper option for sure. When people are looking at the two of them, people are going to prioritize Mitchell based off the past performances. So you could probably slide in and get Mason at a much cheaper cost and get, 80% of the production maybe this week. If Fab's not a concern, then I would go after Mitchell.
Yeah, and this is all comes down to like if you need a running back to start. I mean, if we're trusting that Christian McCaffrey's done for a week, then I don't think you waste. If you're limited on Fab, just don't spend on either of these guys because when McCaffrey comes back, he's the guy, obviously. But if you feel like you need a couple week rental and McCaffrey might be leading on, he might be a little more injured than he's leading on, then I think probably exactly what Shane said. Mitchell's probably the guy to get if you can afford to. And then Mason, I don't know. That's a tricky one to me. And I think it's based on past history. I don't know the ins and outs of like how well Mason knows the playbook, but you would imagine because of Mitchell's history, the playbook opens up more if he's in your backfield because he knows it like the back of his hand. So,
well, here's a question I got for you guys. If you guys are really in need of a spot start at the running back position, and you know that there's a chance that McCaffrey does play, are you prioritizing someone like Roschon Johnson ahead of them?
Regardless, Roschon's ahead. I don't even include Roschon in this week because I just don't think he should be available. There's probably not many leagues he's available in.
He's rostered in 60% on Sleeper and 52 on ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in 11 leagues, and I guarantee you he's not available in any of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 42% on ESPN. So he's out there, None of our leagues, but he's out there for people listening. All right, so you're saying Roschon Johnson, number one waiver wire pickup if he's available?
Yes, 100%.
100%, not even close.
Okay. And then as far as the Zach Evans, Eli Mitchell, Jordan Mason, Craig Reynolds, where do you guys put those for?
Yeah, Shane, go first. I'm curious what you have.
So if I'm looking just for 1 week person, I would take, despite the matchup, I would go Craig Reynolds over San Francisco. I just feel he's the stronger bet to get double-digit touches in Gibbs' first game back. not knowing what that split's going to look like for sure in San Francisco, I would probably lean Craig Reynolds.
What about Keontae Ingram? Is he involved in this little? He's got to be available for more leagues than Roshan.
Keontae Ingram.
And we have to include him in this list because I think he's more relevant than Roshan.
You're saying Keontae Ingram is a higher priority than Roshan?
No, he's just going to be available in leagues, whereas Roshan's probably not.
Right. Keontae Ingram is available in 9%, or I'm sorry, he's rostered in only 9% on ESPN.
Yeah,
he's out there.
So Keontae Ingram has to be included in this group, and I think I put him at number 1 by far. Right, Shane?
You mean after Roshan?
Well, yeah. So I have Keontae ahead of Craig Reynolds is what I'm trying to say.
What's his matchup this week? I can't remember.
Seahawks.
Okay.
Yeah, in Seattle.
Not great, not horrible.
Yeah, it's a better matchup than Reynolds at Baltimore.
Both are tough environments. Seahawks, they gave up 17 to the Bengals, but they have been in shootouts, this year. So I don't know. Regardless, I just think with James Conner being out for, he's on the IR 3 more weeks at minimum. I think it's going to be even more than that. And his only competition being Amari, who didn't do anything, and then Damian, who is the only other productive running back. You're going to have the most value long-term on Keontae. And to be honest, there's question marks everywhere else.
Yeah,
we've already gotten to see 1 week of what that looks like, right?
Yeah, Keontae Ingram's next 3 games: Seattle, Baltimore, then Cleveland. So,
that's tough.
Tough matchups coming up
for sure. But like I said, Craig Reynolds plus Gibbs. How many targets goes there? That's the question mark. Eli Mitchell, Jordan Mason. Honestly, go Mitchell over Mason, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're pissed at me next week because Mason vultures 2 touchdowns and has 10 carries for 50 yards. I wouldn't be surprised. So, and then who else do we have in this list?
Zach Evans and Kareem Hunt.
Zach Evans last because of what is that going to look? I mean, you're going to know more towards the end of the week. Someone's going to take a waiver on Zach Evans, and then Thursday, Friday is going to roll around, and Royce Freeman or Darrell Henderson's going to be the starting running back, and then they're going to be pissed. That's if I had to bet on what's going to happen there, that's probably what's going to happen. Or Zach Evans gets the first drive, looks okay. Darrell Henderson comes in and starts running people over, and then McVay just runs with him,
Yeah.
Because that's what it's going to be. But, and then Kareem Hunt, I don't know. I probably have him above Craig Reynolds.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So we're saying Roshan Johnson, and then Keontae Ingram, then Kareem Hunt.
For me, it would be Roshan, Hunt, Keontae, but I just like Hunt's value kind of rest of season beyond just this week.
Yeah. If you need more of a long-term play instead of a spot start.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not going to argue that. However, I do have Jerome Ford in quite a lot of leagues, and I'm not going to roster Hunt and Ford. I would roster Hunt or Ford and Ingram, and then I would go Hunt on those other leagues that I don't, just to kind of stagger that.
Okay. Other running backs that I feel like are worth a mention, Tyjae Spears. We saw him have a decent output. He looked explosive, had a big touchdown run. What's your guys' gauge on Tyjae Spears moving forward? Do you think, he's rostered.
I don't think he housed that one, did he?
No, he got it. He got pulled down
like a 40 something yarder.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my mistake.
Yeah.
Just still looks explosive out there.
Screen pass. Yeah, 48 yarder. He looks great for sure. go get him. He's has probably the most injury upside. Maybe not the most, but has a lot of injury upside just because that line sucks. He's just on a really fucking bad team. That's his issue. So
yeah. All right. How about this next guy, Devin Singletary?
That's someone we need to be talking about, and we need to put him in that list where we just talked about.
Yeah, this is a long list. I don't want to list everybody. I'm not going to list 12 guys right off the bat, and but as I'm going down the list, we fit him in where we need to. So where would you put Devin Singletary?
He's maybe just one slot behind Kareem Hunt, because I think it's a similar situation now where we're going to see a similar shared workload where I think, it was shown this week against the Saints, and he did more with his touches than Dameon Pierce did. And I think that forward Hunt breakdown is going to be kind of what you see in Houston also.
Yeah. Now, I do want to mention the Houston Texans are on a bye. So when you're looking at your waivers and you're looking at the projected outcome of these guys, you're not going to see Devin Singletary in there. He's going to be down on the bottom because he's on a bye. So if you want to play, a lot of your league mates aren't going to be smart enough to look for that type of thing. So you can scoop up Devin Singletary pretty easily, in my opinion.
Same thing with Chuba Hubbard, because he's owned in less than 50% of ESPN leagues. So do the same thing with him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay. Were you going to talk about him?
No, he's not on the list. But
he is now. Okay. I'm just writing out my list so I know we can talk about it.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I have Chuba. Here's my list currently of everyone we talked about. Roshan 1, Chuba 2, Keontae 3, Singletary 4, Hunt 5, Reynolds 6, and Eli/Mason 7. I put Singletary in between above Hunt after Keontae. And I put Chuba in between Roshan and Keontae. Honestly, I could probably swap Singletary for Keontae because I think Singletary right now has an opportunity, and I think he's going to succeed in his opportunity. And if he ends up having a primary role in the Texans, which looks like to be a very good offense in a relatively soft division, and I think he could have some pretty decent value. His ceiling is higher than Reynolds, Hunt, barring injury. So yeah, I don't know. I like Singletary's talent. I think he's in a good offense. He could be in a pretty good situation there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And one other name I feel like needs to be mentioned if he's available. I think he's only rostered in 48% of leagues is Jaleel McLaughlin. Do you guys have any sort of interest in Jaleel moving forward? I mean, he did have the most carries on the team last week, even with Javonte Williams coming back. So what's the deal with Jaleel?
I'm not interested. Shane, you can talk about him.
I think, he is one of those guys you may have to could play this week based off injuries and bye weeks. I've got him in one league on my bench. And
so do I.
I've got Mixon off and I've got Montgomery hurt this week. And so unless I pull something off the waiver wire, I'm going to have to throw him in there. His snaps, his rushes, his touches of all. I think
they play the Packers. They're at home against the Packers.
That is correct. Yeah.
Against the Packers. I mean, he's the most explosive option in that backfield. You can just tell when you're looking at what he plays. Hopefully that becomes more of a 2-man rotation than a 3-man. That's the only concern.
Yeah.
To be honest, like watching Javonte run against the Chiefs, like Jaleel might be the most explosive right now, but Javonte is clearly the most skilled. He had a few runs where he looked really good and tried putting moves on, and he's just not quite healthy enough. You remember when Breece Hall got into the open field and didn't have the burst? And
I didn't have that breakaway speed.
That's exactly what happened to Javonte once on the right side of the field. And he broke open and I don't know, it was probably a 15-yard run. It was probably his biggest run of the night. I'll look it up right now. And he had, if he had that extra, that second level burst, it would have been an exciting run. So 18-yard run. So that's where he's at. I mean, he had 10 carries, 52 yards. He wasn't involved in the receiving game, but we know he can be when healthy. So, I think he's not too far out from being stronger, and maybe come playoff time, maybe come week 11, 12, we see a fully healthy Javonte Williams. Now, are they going to be tanking at that point? Are they ever going to truly unleash him? That becomes another question. Kulz Conspiracy would say that there is potentially a world where Sean Payton Sean Payton does really like Caleb. He's called him a generational talent. He's said, on live ESPN television, he said teams are going to be actively tanking for Caleb Williams. He's that good. Well, Denver's got one of the richest owners in sports. They have John Elway, and John Elway obviously values the quarterback position. So they may be a team here later in the season where it's fuck it, let's conserve Javonte's health and let's just unleash McLaughlin, the undrafted guy, put some miles there, see what we have in him. So, keep him on your bench, and if he has a little bit of a role, maybe that turns into something bigger when they're full on tank mode,
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to bring up some names that I think should be dropped. Feel free to drop these guys. Amari DiMercato.
By the way, how do you like my Dunder Mifflin water bottle? I feel like, Shane, you definitely watched The Office. Shane's for sure in Office. Shane's definitely got the Office humor in him.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right.
Do you think that show could be around nowadays? They were pretty, some of their jokes got, I don't know if with the new cancel culture that they would be. We live in a pretty sensitive world now. Michael Scott may not live in this 2023 world. Do you think?
I don't know if it would. I think it'd be
still plays.
Maybe, yeah.
I think
still
so.
Probably.
Okay. All right.
All right. So back to the running backs that we should be dropping. Amari DiMercato, that was a swing and a miss. If you guys picked him up, feel free to drop him. Just kind of forget about what you paid for him and just drop him. Dalvin Cook, I think, is droppable now.
Was that what you did with Amari, by the way? You said that like you knew what was going on.
Yeah. I paid some fab for Amari, and I will be dropping him at this cycle. So goodbye.
Not a ton though, right?
No, I didn't. No,
20% maybe.
I don't even think it was that. I'd have to double check, but it's around that range.
You know what I love doing, by the way, is I love betting people fab. So I'll bet you 20 fab that I beat you this week, in acquiring more dollars to spend that way.
Well, it's a good time to promote Sleeper. It's a thing in Sleeper that is available. Shane, do you have any leagues in Sleeper?
Wait, you can do that in Sleeper?
Yeah, I made it.
You trade it, right?
Yeah, so I made it. That's one of the things you can, enable in the Sleeper leagues.
Mm-hmm. No shit, you can. On your matchup.
Yeah.
Oh, do that all the time. Obviously, be smart about it, but
yeah. All right, so you guys dropping Dalvin Cook, Amari DiMercato.
Yep.
Gus Edwards. Samaje Perine. Stop me if you guys disagree here.
I don't know that I have a super deep league that I still have Gus Edwards in, and can't really drop him just because he is a starting running back. touchdown dependent. I mean, he's going to get carries, right? Like, I'm never going to start him unless needed. But sometimes you need to. Like that league I was just telling you about, do I have Bijan? I don't remember who my RB1 is, but someone really good. And then RB2, I had A-Chain, Kyron, bang, bang, back-to-back weeks. So, having to start Keontae Ingram. Had I not gotten Keontae Ingram in most of my leagues, then I would have, been okay with starting a Gus Edwards just because sometimes you have to and pray for a touchdown.
Yeah, a lot of what we're talking about is relative to your league size, how deep your league is. So obviously, I'm speaking to the standard. Yeah, in most leagues, more shallow leagues, I think he's droppable. What about AJ Dillon or Cam Akers? What are we doing with Cam Akers? I know a lot of people held on to him after he got traded to Minnesota, but it doesn't seem like he's working into that workload. He had 1 carry last week. Like, are we dropping Cam Akers?
Keep Dillon for sure. You can't drop him yet.
Who, AJ Dillon?
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon.
You got to keep him.
You got to keep him until we see Jones come back and what he's going to be like.
Yeah.
Akers is a tough one. Like, I don't understand. Like, and I had Madison in quite a bit of leagues, and I don't understand what's taken so long.
Well, Kulz made a good point. It might just be an attitude thing. They may have traded for him and like, I think that was a mistake. Maybe we shouldn't have done that.
He might have a little Claypool in him. He might be immature. He might not be a man. He might not.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about does it for running backs. We can jump to wide receivers. I feel like we hit everything that we needed to and talked about it. So that was good on you guys. Appreciate it. And then for wide receivers, another long list of wide receivers that we should be talking about. And I'll kind of just run through a few of them real quick. You got Josh Downs rostered in 50% of leagues. We have Josh Palmer rostered in 61% of leagues. Curtis Samuel, 51% of leagues. Rashee Rice, 55%. And we'll cut it off there for right now. So, again, Josh Downs, Josh Palmer, Curtis Samuel, Rashee Rice. What are we doing with these 4, and how would you guys rank them?
Can you hit that soundboard for me?
Your Kulz conspiracy?
No. The pick 'em up. Pick 'em up. That's what I would be doing with all 4 of those. I've had Rice on my roster for how long? How long ago was that? 2 weeks ago?
At least 2 weeks. You were talking about it.
For the last several, 3 weeks probably. I've been trying to get Rice on every team that I can, and I am only looking to add him now. In the leagues that I don't have him, I'm looking to potentially start having conversations about what a trade looks like for him, because he's only looked he looks by far the best. I mean, we all saw it on Thursday Night Football. Unfortunately, I liked when they were playing, hidden in a 12 o'clock slate and only Swifties were watching him, because he looks way better than everyone on the Chiefs, doesn't he? Like,
yeah, 100%.
He's doing all this playing less than 50% of snaps. Like, all their wide receivers, he's not on the field.
Well, that's my point. So that's coming where he's going to be, he's going to be all over the field. Mahomes was able to throw someone on the Chiefs, just a screen off to the left side, and maybe he was even in slot. I don't know, slot screen. And Rice just took off and darted, and he got 30 something yards on that run. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but it's right in front of me, 28. So he's been wanting to do that with Tony for 2 years now, and Tony's just trash. So
yeah.
Rice is go get Rice, trade for him. He's going to explode, and you're going to want him when he does. So,
and Justin Watson just dislocated his elbow. So now I think you see Rice get over that 50% route run rate that he hasn't been able to get over.
Yes,
that screen alone, man. Like, I'm telling you, he's going to be. I think if you're Patrick Mahomes, he's smart and he's good, and he knows when. It may just be like a learning the playbook and the offense thing, but the talent, there's no question now, right? And where were we drafting Tony very early on in preseason before he got injured, and Sky Moore? Where were we drafting him? Them?
It's like round 7.
So start looking like think of that as round 5, that type of capital that you should employ, or you should try to have a smart negotiation. You can get him for less than that, but that's going to be his value for the rest of the season. Is he won that role that we were all trying to find? Who's the Chiefs guy going to be? So
yeah. That's a good point. So you're saying pick up all of them, but how would you rank them, Kulz?
Rice 1. Gosh, I like Downs. I just don't think Minshew's going to do that well. Rice 1. Palmer's the guy.
Palmer.
It's not QJ, So
yeah, that's pretty obvious.
Rice, Palmer, Downs, Samuel, even though I like all of them.
Okay.
The only reason I wouldn't go Samuel, and I probably not going to add him in any leagues unless it's super deep and he's there for whatever reason, is because that offense is going to be so spread out. It's going to be so spread thin.
Yeah, he's had a good couple of weeks. He's had 3 touchdowns. He's had a touchdown in each of the last 3 weeks, but outside of those touchdowns, it's not, and that's not something you can bank on every week. So if he doesn't get a touchdown, you're not going to be overly happy that you started him. But if you need a high floor, he's kind of a decent play. But I just think without those touchdowns, I
will say he won the Dotson role, man. Like he is. I don't know what it is about Samuel, but the Commanders, the Redskins, they have loved him for so long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would get all of them, but that would be my order. What's your order there on those 4? Shane.
Shane, go ahead.
Mine is Palmer 1, but 1A is Rice. Those are real back-to-back.
Yeah.
And then it would be Downs. And then I'd actually put Samuel underneath somebody we haven't talked about yet, and probably will come up next, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'll continue the list then. We have Rashid Shaheed. We have Michael Wilson. We have Josh Reynolds, still only rostered in 56% of leagues. Marvin Mims. And one last one, Zay Jones. Was that name one of the names in there for you, Shane?
No, it wasn't. So the guy that I would probably have at one spot ahead of Samuel, and I think his role just is getting better and better each week, is Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah. Oh, he was the next group. He's a little further down. Yeah, he's rostered in 29% of leagues. He's available. He caught all 8 of his targets this week. He was 8 for 8. So, yeah, why don't you go ahead and talk about him?
I don't know. A funny joke I heard on McAfee first about Wan'Dale. They called him Wan'Dale, and they're like, he is not of Hispanic descent.
Oh, wow.
That McAfee show, Wan'Dale. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Shane,
really
Shane, why would you put Wan'Dale up so high on your list?
So I just think he's got such a higher, safer floor in PPR leagues. Like, you've seen his routes run rate and target share go up each week. He, with Tyrod, so I'm not worried about Daniel Jones, because with Tyrod Taylor, he got his most targets that he's gotten all year, which
8
is
for 62. Yeah.
Yeah. So that doesn't concern me. I just think his role is growing and going to be in a PPR league. I just think he's going to provide that kind of safe floor of 6 catches a week. Maybe throws in 50 yards with it.
Yeah, I like that. I can see that. I mean, he's got it. He looks like the one that's going to be emerging from this Giants wide receiver room. He looks, the best out of all of them. But it's just hard to trust someone on the Giants right now. That team is struggling offensively. But, yeah, I can understand that for sure.
Yeah.
Kulz, what about, do you want me to relist those names? Did you write them all down? You got Rashid Shaheed, Michael Wilson, Josh Reynolds, and Zay Jones.
Yeah, the only one I like is Shaheed, and he's such a boom bust play.
Yeah.
So I'm out on the other three, but I like Wandale as well. I'd put him above Samuel for sure.
Okay. And then I'll mention a few other ones. Let me know if you guys are, if they're in consideration. I said Marvin Mims. I don't know if I mentioned him. Kendrick Bourne had a big game, but we talked about it before. You're not going to see this week in and week out. I think he's kind of fool's gold. But I mean, if you're also in need of a spot start, would you feel comfortable at all starting him? He had 10 receptions last week.
No.
Okay.
No. But Mims is someone who in very deep leagues, I've been stashing him or plan to, because I think there's a very real possibility that both Judy and, based on talking about my Kulz conspiracy from earlier of the Broncos kind of tanking and unloading all their assets, I think Judy and Sutton, there's a very real chance they're off the team, and then Mims is just going to kind of be like last man here. Let's throw him the ball a bunch and see if he could be a wide receiver 1 for Caleb.
Yeah, I had the same thought of you. Like, I almost stashed him last week, and I'm still thinking that way. At least one of those receivers are going to get traded.
At least
what I couldn't come to grips with, though, is if stashing him and the big play potential, or Brandon Johnson, who has been a little bit more consistent with snaps and routes run on that team than Mims has.
I'm for sure going to stash Mims because of, how much Sean Payton likes him. He's like, it's one of the first impact things he's done with the roster was trading up for Mims. And I just think, like, all right, let's say the more likely of the two is Judy for him to get traded. And let's say you even keep Sutton just so that Caleb can come in and have like weapons, right? Sutton, Mims, if successful, Dulcich. But I just think that Mims is going to get treated. They're not trying to win games, right? They're trying to set themselves up for next year. So I think they're just going to try to like give him 10 targets and see if he could be a wide receiver 1, if that's what their intentions are for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I like Mims. Like, and was he one of the wide receivers for Caleb when he was in Oklahoma?
At one point in time, he probably was. Yeah.
He probably 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, they have that chemistry already. Kind of like what we talked about. Right now, today, I think Caleb is going to the Broncos or the Vikings, and he's going to have one of his boys as his wide receiver year 1. I want to see the Bears be smart enough to not be smart enough to be holding that number 1 pick and then force one of those teams we just mentioned, the Vikings or the Broncos, to just unleash the house, trade off of that 1 pick, and then go wherever they want to from there, but just get the house for Caleb.
Yeah, and then draft Marvin Harrison with Carolina's pick. All right, so let's
or that lineman. They have that massive lineman from Penn State. Maybe he's like thought of as a generational left tackle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So get him. I don't know if the game plan would still be Justin Fields.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be, what's your game plan there? Is it May? Who knows? But
all right. Well, let's give a little recap real quick for the running backs and wide receivers. Kulz, give me your top 5 at each position of your lists that you got going over there.
Roshan 1, Chuba 2, Keontae 3, Singletary 4, Kareem Hunt 5, 6, Craig Reynolds, 7, Eli Mitchell, and then 8, Mason. But that's kind of weird because I probably have Mitchell already on a lot of my benches. But So I would actually put Eli ahead of whatever. We don't need to go into that.
All right. What about wide receivers?
Downs 1, Palmer 2. Wait, no. Rice 1, Palmer 2, Downs 3. Who do we like, Shane, at 4? Or my 4? Who did you say? Wandale.
Wandale, yeah.
Juan Dale at 4, and then Curtis Samuel at 5.
Nice. I think that about hits it. Shane, did you have any? I know you had some discrepancies in there as well for
not much. I mean, I think where Kulz and I just differed was I had Hunt one spot up on the running backs, but wide receivers, I had Palmer slight one over Rice, but that's a 1 and 1A to me.
You had Hunt and Singletary flipped, or maybe even ahead of Keontae.
Yeah, and I'm right there on pace with you guys as well.
And then you had Wandale.
Yeah.
Wandale.
Robinson's a sneaky start this week. He gets the Commanders defense, who's like 28th in the league in passing yards allowed. So,
yeah. All right.
Did you see Forbes got sat?
What?
Yeah, the rookie cornerback. Yeah,
Emmanuel Forbes was sat, and they had a better defense. Crazy.
Oh, okay.
Crazy.
All right. Well, let's real quick. I'm going to hit some quarterbacks and tight ends, and then we'll wrap it up. Quarterbacks. There's only 3 on the list here. We got Baker Mayfield is rostered in 31%. I believe he's on a bye this. No. Who's on the bye this week? No. I my mistake. Baker Mayfield rostered in 31%. Desmond Ridder rostered in 15%. Sam Howell in 40%. So these guys are pretty widely available out there. Any one of those 3, if you guys, one of your quarterbacks are on a bye.
Howell at Giants.
Yes. Definitely tune in to our red light, green light episode that we will go live tomorrow at some point. The podcast will come out on Thursday. We will be talking about our quarterback starts of the week, and we'll be talking about some streaming options. But yeah, I mean, you're saying Howell for sure is the pickup over Mayfield and Ridder.
Yeah, QB5 and QB7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ritter's had 2 top 10 finishes. Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts. Absolutely nuts. All right, so some tight ends that I want to bring up. Michael Mayer is only rostered in 12% of leagues. We have Logan Thomas is rostered in 61%, so most of you guys listened last week. And then we also have Jonnu Smith at 24% and Luke Musgrave at 24%. Michael Mayer is quietly being, pretty active in this Raiders offense.
Yeah, my top ad or my stream at this point, you're not really I mean, I guess you could consider Mayer an ad that like he potentially has rest of season value over someone that you own. But if you're streaming tight ends, someone that I like, this was one of the early week Kulz conspiracies was that
Feel free to talk while that's playing too.
No, I can't. One of the early season Kulz conspiracies that I had was that Zach Ertz was getting force fed to increase his trade value to a contender. And I think that's still potentially the case. I think Trey McBride is their tight end of the future. I think he's awesome. His production was higher last week. I don't know if his targets were, but I like Trey McBride a lot. Let me look.
5 targets last week and 4 receptions for 62 yards.
So 4 for 62 for Trey McBride. So Ertz still had 5 targets. So, split, but I think Trey McBride's either going to just take over from a youth and talent standpoint, or Ertz is going to get moved or whatever. I've been pretty vocal about Trey McBride, all year, but I think you're starting to see it. So,
all right. Well, I think that about does it for our Hitch Hikers. Everybody we just talked about.
I want Shane to talk about Mayer. Do you have anything to say there? Like, because The reason why I want someone to talk about Mayer is because the industry is. I don't have much to say about it, so I would rather.
So the reports I had read last week was they made a concerted effort to get him involved last week.
Jimmy G was vocal about that.
Yeah, they wanted to get involved. So, he ended up getting like 70% route run rate. He had over 80% of the snaps. I just think the guy that's sneaky, and if you're wanting more consistent option, it's hard to believe, but Jonnu Smith has been a top 10 tight end the last 3 weeks.
Yes.
And Arthur Smith's going to roll both of those tight ends out and play him and have both of them run routes.
Yeah.
It's not
Absolutely.
going away. He's playing the same amount of snaps as Kyle Pitts.
Trash coach.
Yep. All right. So you guys good there? Everybody, I think we covered everybody that we needed to talk about. That was our weekly segment for Fantasy Hitchhikers. So make sure you
pick them up.
Now we're going to go ahead and get into a mailbag segment. We thank everybody for
holy
joining
shit,
the stream.
19 comments.
Yeah, I know. We're about to get into it. So everybody buckle up. Man, motherfucker. All right, so lot to go through here. With first one, Dotson or Elijah Moore flex play. Kulz, why don't you kick us off? Dotson or Elijah Moore?
Elijah Moore. I don't trust Dotson.
Shane, you on the same
Hey,
board with that?
Chris Bork, what's up?
Thanks for joining.
That's my guy.
All right, cool. We're all on the same
cork. That is my B cork. That for trucks, B cork. That is Chris Bork's my guy.
B cork. I don't see you in the comments section. Where were you today, buddy?
And Paulo and B.
Paulo, where are you at? Jay, good evening from the UK. It's 23:55 here and still listening. Hey, from the UK. Let's go.
All right.
That's awesome, Jay. Thanks for joining. I see you got some questions here. We'll check them out. Chris, T-Law out. Thought he was only questionable. He is not out. He is questionable. If I spoke earlier, but good to go there. Jay, grab Craig Reynolds. I've already got him and Mason at the 49ers. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Evans, definitely. He's going to have run about 20 times a game. We'll see about that. Hopefully. I've still got Mitchell, and he is so unreasonable and Gainwell. Yep. All right, let's go further down the list here. Here's a good one. Trade Geno and Stafford for Kittle. It's a 2-quarterback and 2 tight end league. My other quarterbacks are Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy. Tight ends are Musgrave and Logan Thomas. So trade Geno and Stafford for Kittle. What do you guys think? He's got Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy, Geno, and Stafford. Doesn't need all 4 of them.
It's a 2-quarterback, 2 tight end league. My other quarterbacks are Trevor Lawrence and Purdy.
And he's got Musgrave and Logan Thomas, who's trying to upgrade. But I personally wouldn't do it because Kittle doesn't really seem to be that much of an upgrade. He's had 4 weeks of under 5 points. He's kind of that hot and cold to me. And Logan Thomas seems to be really good. So I don't think I'm taking that trade. I don't think I'm making that trade.
I would just wait this week till we can finally see what about Trevor Lawrence, just to make sure. It's a knee sprain. He's probably will play, but just in case, I would want to have one of those guys still to plug in there.
That's a great point. Great point. Bronson, thank you for your question. Leo traded Puka and Adams. Did Puka for Adams? Did I win? Also have Olave, Waddle, Myers, Devonta Smith, and Flowers.
Wow.
Puka for Devontae. I think so.
That's a very deep wide receiver room you've got there.
Yeah. Did Leo upgrade from Puka to Devontae? What do you guys think?
As long as that shoulder is fine, yeah, I think so. I think Adams is the type of guy he can still have fantasy production no matter who's the quarterback. He's proven that.
I agree.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so we're all on the same page. Josh, thank you for your question. Would you guys trade Josh Downs and Jonnu for Jacoby in a 20-man PPR league? Also, would you trade Kmet and Shaheed for Mark Andrews in same league? So trade Josh Downs and Jonnu for Jacoby.
I mean, I would make both of those trades. I just don't know 20-man leagues and how deep you can. Like, what are you sacrificing starters? Because in a 12-man league, Downs and Jonu not starters. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
they're bench players. So, are you trading 2 starting assets for one, like a better one? I always like to make 2 for 1s. You're upgrading for Andrews 100%. You're upgrading Komet and Shaheed, especially without Justin Fields, who's Komet's guy. So 1000% Komet and Shaheed for Andrews. And then Downs and Jonu. Yeah, I mean, I'm making that trade. Jacoby's looked awesome. It's Ryan's best friend. I support Ryan.
I love that. And I completely agree with you. Shane, you on board with that one?
Yep.
Okay. Josh, thanks again. Gavin, thank you. Could you trade Kyrene, meaning Kyren Williams, for Saquon Barkley?
No.
Oh, I don't. I was actually pleasantly surprised with Saquon's for touches he had.
Man.
I don't know. I guess I
his backs are Kyren, Pollard, Aaron Jones, and Dose.
What is that? What do you guys think what do you think Dose is?
I don't know.
I wonder what he meant there.
Pollard's your RB1, Kyren. Yeah, I mean, Jones coming back. I think Saquon is an elite talent. So, yes, I would go Saquon, regardless of the situation.
Yeah.
On Barkley.
All right, here's another Saquon question from D's Nuts. My name is Jeff. Thank you for your question. Trade Saquon and Goddard for Bijan, Gott, Waller.
My name is Jeff.
Yes, 100%.
Trade Saquon and Goddard for Bijan, Gott, Waller. Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Trade Saquon and Goddard for Bijan. Definitely do that, even though Bijan splitting carries.
And Waller plus.
Yeah, absolutely. He also lost Richardson, Purdy. Also lost
Purdy or
Richardson,
Watson.
Purdy or Watson. Got it.
At this point, Purdy.
Yeah, it's Purdy for me as well.
Yep.
All right, Super C&B Challengers just got offered Olave and Hawkinson for AJ Brown in PPR. What do you think? I am not taking that trade. Obviously, other things go into context here, so feel free when you guys ask questions, try to include as much context as possible. That helps us with the decisions. But I think AJ Brown is on a complete rampage right now, and I'm not trading him away. I don't know. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, unless like you are just got nothing at tight end and there's no tight end options on the waiver wire, I would stick with AJ Brown. Olave, just a car is not hooking up on deep targets. He's not accurate in the end zone area. So I always prefer the stud for sure player. That's Brown.
Yeah. Calls you in agreement?
Yeah, Brown could be a league winner.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Hawkinson could too, but I don't like the trajectory of the Vikings.
No.
Been pretty vocal about that. So AJ Brown's likely the league winner there.
Yep, absolutely. Next question from Spencer Graves. Spencer, thanks for chiming in.
Spencer Graves, that's like it seems like a power forward name, like a thicker white guy that wears a headband that probably uses his elbows or
Spencer
up and unders. Yeah,
I like
that
it.
Reminds me of.
He's tooting his own horn here. How crazy that I have Chase, Cup, and AJ Brown all in one fantasy teams, and it was an auto draft league as well, 8-team league. Yeah, nicely done. Obviously, you didn't do much to do it. It's an auto draft league.
Sounds like the worst league ever, Spencer. Go tell someone else about it.
But yeah, you must feel pretty good having Chase, Cup, and Brown.
I take back all those nice words I said about you being a power forward that had good post moves.
Yeah. All right. Elijah Golden, thank you for chiming in. Next question. Changes or trades for 12-man PPR keeper league. Fields Love, Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren, Devontae Adams, Tyreek, Deontay Johnson, and his bench is Tyjae Spears, Damian Pierce, Keaton Mitchell, Tank Dell, and KJ Osborne. So are you guys changing his lineup at all, it looks like?
I mean, Like,
If
if
there is some running backs available, you can feel free to drop Keaton Mitchell. I was talking about him for a couple of weeks as a stash, but all that he is doing is downing punts like inside the 10-yard line for that team, which I don't think we get points for in fantasy. So that's not going to happen. It doesn't look like.
yeah. If I don't see, I don't like that team that much, to be honest. Like 4-2 is a really good record for what I'm looking at.
Yeah, he's 4-2 and he put up 71 points in week 6. So looking to make improvements.
Yeah. So like Aaron Jones hopefully comes back and you can count on him as an RB1. Warren, I hope that he gets increasing work share from Najee. So like I wouldn't be confident in him as an RB2 right now, but he may work towards that. Fields is obviously gone for 4 weeks.
Yeah, that hurts. Yep.
And Love is not necessarily trending in the right direction. I would say like where we thought like Love was going to show, he was going to be good and show a lot. But he was going to have some growing pains. Same thing with CJ Stroud, but we were going to see a lot more growing pains and on a worse team. I think that's flipped. I think Stroud looks like the much better quarterback right now in year one, as both of them being starters. So like, I wouldn't be confident starting Love all season. I think that's going to be pretty like matchup dependent. And even then, like,
I'm gonna say, Elijah, I'm gonna give you some advice just by saying I would consider trading away Devontae Adams. See if you can get a big bag for Devontae and improve your team in other aspects. Tank Dell was on a good he was on a good run. He got injured. KJ Osborne is supposedly stepping in for Justin Jefferson, but didn't look that great against a bad defense last week. Damian Pierce is on the down streak. Tyjae Spears, like we just talked about in this episode, a bunch of running backs and wide receivers to pick up that I kind of like them a lot more than your current situation. So I would recommend shopping Devontae Adams around. I would hold on to Tyreek Hill. Obviously, he's a league winner, but see if you can get a big old bag for Devontae Adams.
What about Devontae Adams and Love for Tua?
I mean, yeah, I think I would take that for sure.
Tua and Tyreek stack you would get then?
Oh, yeah, because that opens the floodgates for you can win a matchup with those two alone.
Who did you say, Devonta and who?
Love. So just throw one of his quarterbacks, assuming he could get another backup if he needed it. But
yeah.
2 for 1, Jordan Love and Adams for Tua.
Yeah, I like that. I like where you're at there.
Or Shane. Maybe see if there's like another, because wouldn't you think Devonta Adams, his value alone, standalone value is Tua? No.
You're probably on the right track there. I mean, Devonta Adams is an elite wide receiver, so you don't really need to include Love.
Well, I'm just saying if you do include Love to kind of throw a quarterback at him, then try to get a depth piece at running back because Keaton Mitchell's trash. Tyjae may not see what we need him to see this year to be a fantasy relevant. Damian Pierce is trending downwards.
Yeah, and then you got Jalen
kind
Warren
of have
splitting.
Wide receiver depth already with Deontay Johnson coming back. Hopefully he, gets back into form, and then KJ Osborne could be a startable piece for the next 6 weeks. So I would try to get some high ceiling throwaway. Try to get Singletary. If you have Singletary and Pierce, one of them kind of rise out of that backfield, then you have a piece. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing out.
Elijah, feel free to hit us up on Twitter with any more specific questions throughout the week.
Good point.
Tweet at Fantasy Roadshow. Hit us up at Kulz_sports, at Fantasy_trucker, at S_McCormick_FF. We are
definitely
all
hit one of us or all of us up because their shout out. Where is he? Sorry, you can go on.
Well, I was just going to say, throughout the week, let us know if you have any questions. We're going to be going live tomorrow at some point in the early afternoon or morning or sometime in that time span, Kulz, if that works for you.
Yeah, whatever.
Little inside joke. But yeah, so we'll be going live tomorrow with our red light, green light start sits. People who we're really excited about and who we're not so excited about. So stay tuned for that. And then on Thursday, Kulz and I will be streaming live. Shane might join in. He might not. He always pops in whenever he feels like it. But we got a good Thursday night matchup. Who's playing this week? Thursday night. It is Jacksonville and the Saints. Saints Jags. So that should be fun. We'll see how that goes. But we'll be streaming live, talking our Week 7 matchups, going over all the games that we think are how they're going to play out fantasy-wise. So stay tuned for that. We appreciate everybody.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kulz.
Yeah. So the reason why – oh, there he is. Unfortunately, I don't have Twitter. I think could get Zay Flowers. I think I could get Zay Flowers into Florida Adams. Yeah, 100% do that.
Yeah, do it.
Do that. Yeah, I don't think there's. I guess just let us know whenever we go live next. If put on notifications so you can see when we're live, and just keep hitting us up in the comments, and we'll help you out.
Yeah,
I had a good man, Elliot Darvish. He reached out on Twitter, broke me down his team. He was 0-3. We went deep into it and did some restructuring of his team. He's now 2-3 and is on a pretty good path. So like, we love helping out roadies, and just like, this is what we do, right? There's a reason why we're having fun with this podcast, because we love it. So reach out. We want to help. Anyways.
Yeah, we go live on YouTube, youtube.com/sportsethos throughout the week. We're live Sunday morning answering start sit questions early morning around 10 a.m. We're live Sunday night talking reactions. We're live Monday talking waivers, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you name it. We're probably live on YouTube, and come check us out. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. We usually don't promote it too often. We're just kind of very sporadic with when we go live. So stay tuned. We appreciate everybody out there who's who tuned in today. And go ahead, Kulz.
We're gonna promote reactions. What did we say? We're gonna
and matchups,
reactions on Sunday night, Thursday night, and then try to do Monday night as well. Whenever we're gonna be like more engaging and conversational, we're going to promote it. We're going to start doing that just so that we can give you a heads up. Eli, you can come on, know that we're going to be on for Thursday Night Football, and come with all your questions, and ready for that kind of stuff. But
yeah, these our waiver episode and our red light, green light tomorrow. The reason why we postpone all the questions to the end, we just try to stay on topic. We have a lot of information to cover. And our episodes on Thursday and Sunday are much more casual, much more relaxed. And we'll talk to you guys as we go through the episode. So feel free to come hang out with us on Thursday and Sundays. We appreciate that, and everybody tuning in. So
could you imagine how horrible this episode would have been if 19 comments came through and I was just like, ding, 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 ding.
You did a great job today, Kulz. You stayed on track, and I appreciate that. Shane, thank you so much for joining us. Your what's the word I'm looking for? Your opinion is always appreciated, and your presence as well. Thank you for always joining us. You're the man, Kulz. We'll talk more tomorrow.
Shane, thanks for joining us, taking some time off of watching Avery Johnson highlights and celebrating. And I know you woke up, I'm sure, a little hungover and a headache after popping some bubbly and celebrating a birthday, Cowboys.
Yes. Again, happy belated birthday, Shane. Yes, that's awesome. All right. Other than that, everybody, Shane, what should everybody do?
Plug Rule 1.
Oh, of course. This episode is always brought to you by Rule 1 Proteins. Go to www Rule1proteins.com. You can get all of your multivitamins, your proteins, your pre-workout, anything you need if you want to get back in the gym or if you want to just step up your supplement game. Go to rule1proteins.com, enter in Roadies40 at checkout to get 40% off. Definitely check them out. They got great flavors. They got the whole nine. You're going to love it. I guarantee it. So, Shane, what should everybody do?
Spencer, I still love you. Buckle up.
Fuck you, Spencer.